You go, boy.
Whoa. Hey, this a vibe, nigga. Whoa. Woo. Secure the bag, I need more. Hey, 3P Jordan. Whoa. Woo. I can't keep it on a low. This a whole vibe. I don't need a plug, no cosign. Thinking out loud, that's a gold mine. Mask on, yeah, COVID-19. Baby mama, yeah, looking like Rihanna. Rest in peace to George, rest in peace Brianna. Still kicking like Van Damme with my niggas in Amsterdam. Ayo. Hey world. What's up? Let's go. Where's my camera as always? Where's my camera? Oh man. Welcome to episode 6.
Woo!
Yahtzee. That's a Yahtzee. We got new drops too. Hope you like that.
You go, boy.
I'm U-Goboy, hence the drop. I'm U-Goboy. We got Marv on the boards. Make some noise one time for Marv on the boards.
Yahtzee.
And we got Mongo here. The dynamic duo
Let's go.
has returned. I love it. Oh man, before I start, as always, big shout out to the home base, Bravery Studios, for hosting your boy, as always, in lovely Garfield, New Jersey, of course, the great state of New Jersey. Bravery up. Before we begin, of course, as always, let's dive into these numbers. This is episode 6, so this is sports talk. You see Mongo, you see that face, you see my face, you see us together. It's sports talk time. So it's NFL, Major League Baseball, Yankees talk, WWE talk, Cowboys talk, Jets talk. A lot to talk about.
Let's
It's
go.
going to get spicy tonight. You ready,
ready.
buddy? Oh, yeah.
It's going to get Saucy Gardner up in here.
Shout out to Sauce, man. Oh, man. So before we begin, though, some quick numbers. I think we just hit 1,300 subscribers on the U-Goboy podcast channel. The U-Goboy channel. That's a Yahtzee. That's a
lot
Yahtzee.
of drop bombs right
A lot
there.
of bombs there. A lot of Yahtzees.
Yahtzee.
We just hit, oh my God. The YouTube channel, we just hit 440,000 views. 450,000 views. 450,000 views.
Wow.
Lord have mercy. On TikTok. We just hit 184,000 views on TikTok. What?
Whoa.
Oh my goodness. We rolling, man.
Let's do
we
this
rolling.
thing.
As always, thank you to the subscribers. Thank you to all the followers on all the platforms. You guys are growing and blowing up this podcast. Love you guys. Big Yahtzees as always. And of course. We got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. And merch. Merch is here.
Swag it.
We're swagged out. Mongo's got the merch. I got the merch. Hats. Everything you need available in the description below. Grab yourself some U-Goboy merch.
You go, boy.
Sound like a car salesman from the 90s.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. Oh my God. So a lot to get into tonight. Let's start with the all rise.
Yeah.
Here comes the judge.
Woo.
Aaron Judge, the new home run king in the American League. The new home run king overall, depending on who you talk to. Barry Bonds, we love you. How do you, before we dive into the Yankees and the playoff picture, which is set, postseason baseball is about to be underway very shortly. Judge getting the record, just this season for him. The MVP campaign, the new contract he's about to get, probably like $1 billion a year or something like that. How are you going to remember this season for Aaron Judge, Mongo? How are you going to remember it in its totality when it's all said and done?
So the first thing we need to do, I want to rewind on you here real quick. I want to get in on this Bonds, Maris debate here.
Okay, let's do it.
And I want to demonstrate how this show is going to work. There's been, there's a team A, there's a team B. Mm-hmm. Welcome to Team C, everybody. We're going off the rails early and often in this one.
I love it.
And as a math guy, everyone, if you don't know this, first rule of stats: use the stats the way you want to use them. Right? Yes. We can manipulate any statistic we want. And so, forget 61, forget 62, forget 73. Let's take a look at the number 50 for a minute. Aaron Judge just finished only the 47th 50 home run season of all time, which
ever.
Wow. Ever. So right off the bat, impressive. And he becomes only the 10th person to have multiple 50 home run seasons. And when you take out a few steroid guys, you're left with a list that consists of Mays, Mantle, Ruth, Griffey Jr., Fox, and Kiner. We're talking the best of the best.
Royalty.
Absent from that list, Roger Maris. Also absent from that list, Barry Bonds, believe it or not. His second highest is 49. He is not in the multi-50 club. So you can sit here and debate him against those two guys. I'm here to say forget that. It's time that we look at Aaron Judge and say this is one of the all-time mashers. He has now entered a stratosphere with the greats of the great. And so that to me is what this season is about. This is taking a great player and putting him on a super pedestal where he belongs. Now, as far as this season, man, we have not seen a one-man show like this in quite a while.
Big facts. Big facts. Big facts.
It's nice to see some of the help that Nestor Cortez did everything he humanly could to be the surprise darling of the year.
Oh yeah.
But at the end of the day, this was Aaron Judge's world, and we were all just honored to be living in it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I'm. Can I get a Dom DeMarco or a bomb or something from my main man?
Let's
Goodness
go.
gracious.
You go, boy.
Oh man. I think the pressure had to be immense. I mean, I was at a couple of those games when he was. I was at the Pirates game. He had homered the night before to, I think, be one shy, and everyone's on pins and needles every pitch, and the tension was real, the suspense was real, the drama was real. His mom, I felt so bad for her because she had to show up to every single game. That's a trooper right there. But she was there. She was there with the Maris family, with Aaron's wife, and they were there to celebrate that moment. That's history. That's illustrious history that cannot be denied or can't be erased. And consider that he did this in a contract year. I think that's the other part that is like getting lost in all this debate, I think.
Absolutely. And I do need to give a quick shout out. Aaron Boone, I'm sure you're out there listening. What's up, Aaron? I do need to give Aaron Boone credit here. He could have easily started to get very cute with this. Obviously there's the basic math, bat him first so he gets the maximum number of at-bats. But with how walk-happy the opponents became, putting him first was just basically a free man on first in the first inning.
Pretty much.
And so you could have got cute with you put him later in the order so there are better chance guys are on base, better players in front of him too. Do I put Torres ninth so there's more likely a guy to be on base, in front of him, that sort of thing. But Boone didn't. He said, this is where Judge is comfortable. This is what I'm going to do. And so, absolute credit to him as well.
Oh, gotcha, for sure. Can I get some bombs for that? Let me get some bombs for that. Aaron Judge. I think, number one across the board, he is your AL MVP. I know Shohei Ohtani, what he's doing is remarkable. The modern-day Babe Ruth, what he's doing. But to be number one in every single major, I looked at the list of every offensive statistical category, and he just missed a triple crown by about 4 points, 4 to 5 points, give or take. Whew.
Which you can make the argument if he wasn't going for the record and it wasn't in his head, he very well might have been able to get the Triple Crown. Like, he kind of had to choose one or the other mentally, and he was all in on the 62.
For sure. But, he's going to cash out. That contract, I think Scott Boras is his agent, or one of the big wigs are his agent. He's sitting pretty, regardless of what happens. So, shifting gears real quick, postseason time. Okay, Yankees finished with 99 wins. Astros finished with 100+. They're the top overall seed. Playoffs have to go through Minute Maid Park or wherever the hell they want to call that stadium. I hate that stadium. And I hate that train. I hate that stupid train up there. Every time they hit a home run, it's ridiculous. But I would say Astros, Yankees, Dodgers, in whatever order you want to put it in, and then everybody else. That's my personal opinion. How do you see things shaking out as of right now, considering that Yankees get a bye, Dodgers get a bye, Astros, of course, get a bye or whatnot? How do you see things shaking out with everyone else before we get to the bigwigs?
So I think you're absolutely right on the AL. I think the AL is pretty much straight chalk. I'm rooting so heavily for Cleveland. I want nothing more than the Yankees to get Cleveland, but we know where this is going. This is going to be a path through the Rays, through the Astros, like it is every single year for sure. Yeah. And so I think that's going to happen. I do have the Mets actually closer to fourth, I think, than you do, to a point where this segment may not end with a Dodgers NL representation. Spoiler for a minute from now. But I do think the Mets take care of the Padres. I think the Padres they've had such a wild year with such a questionable trade deadline now was, you look at Soto's first taste of San Diego.
Yeah.
Is that even the right move? Tatis just might as well have not showed up. I mean, he didn't show up this year, but he might as well. They might as well just announced in April, hey, listen, we're just going to play man down if I'm cool with that.
Terrible.
And so I think they take care of business. And then who's on the other side of the wild card? It's Phillies and.
No, I don't think the Phillies made it. I think Cardinals are in.
Cardinals and Phillies is the other one playing for the right to get wiped out by the Braves. So I mean, it's
right.
I think the Cardinals are just a smart enough team. I also think selfishly every last ounce I can get of the Wainwright, Molina, Pujols train.
True.
I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him over the Braves. I'd root for him over. I mean, until they get to the Yankees, I'm rooting for him. I would love to see a Yankees Cardinals series. I don't believe it's happening.
Yeah.
But in a series where Phillies and Cardinals are. I'm indifferent there.
Yeah,
I'll take the Cardinals to advance.
For sure. And also what got lost in a lot of this is all the Albert Pujols. I mean, he just passed Babe Ruth for RBIs on the RBI list, which is nuts when you think about it. The Aaron Judge passes Ruth for single season home runs, and Albert Pujols passes Babe Ruth in all-time RBIs. That's nuts, and he joins the 700 Club, which is an exclusive club. So a lot of GOAT stuff going on in Major League Baseball this season. This was a historic year. And Garrett Cole, I mean, passing Ron Guidry. He's the Yankees all-time strikeout leader of all time. That's kind of a big deal, too.
That's I have never seen anyone just truck their way through more criticism than Garrett Cole.
Oh, my God.
The
locker room speech he gave, he's in flip-flops, and it's on the Yankees Twitter and website. He's just like, guys, thanks. I mean, this is more about Aaron. I'm glad I'm talking first. Guys, thanks. All right. Let's go win the championship. And he goes to sit back down.
He was that bride's father who didn't know he had to make a speech at the wedding. That's 100% what he was. We've all been to that wedding. We've all 100% been to that wedding. And he got up, he looked around, he just thanked whoever he could find, basically. And said, on with the wedding, And it was rough, real rough. And it adds to what has been a very socially awkward year for Garrett Cole.
Absolutely. But I love Cole. He's one of my faves. As always, of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Gotta use 2 fingers. Yeah, like that. There we go.
2 fingers, 3 dings. Gotta love that ratio.
Do it. Shout out to Shala Buff. So again, postseason wise, I mean, I'm with you. I see it coming down to Yankees, Astros. I really do. They're the Bama and the Yankees, which is madness to say, but it's the truth. Especially in recent years, they're the Georgia. They're the ones that have all got all this history, all these legends, and this, that, and the third. But that nemesis that the Astros have. They've got a lot of things that the Yankees are still striving for. Top end pitching. Guys who top end pitching and timely hitting. I think those are 2 big stumbling blocks. Just rethinking of the past times they've met in the postseason. That's been their Achilles heel. How do you see that shaping, matching up? The 2 teams matching up if they meet in the ALCS, which a lot of people are penciling into.
I was going to say when they meet. Let's just call it what it is. I can't wait to look back on this one and be wrong.
Oh my God, be wrong.
In the meantime, no, I think the 2 things that the Yankees really have going for them here, very sneakily, while Judge has been going for it, because it's just been all eyes on Judge, right? He's literally playing during SEC games. I mean, he's
pretty much.
He's international.
Pretty much.
But they've sneakily had a couple team of destiny moments, and I know a lot of people are going to hear that and just scoff. They don't buy into that. But if you do, I mean, you got Sevy sneakily making his way towards a no-hitter a couple nights ago.
Yep.
You got the Stanton walk-off grand slam, which just seems unfathomable with how much he's hated, all the time.
It's ridiculous.
You got guys coming out of nowhere to pitch a couple solid gems. Higashioka seemed every time he needed some sort of walker single just to get Judge that one extra at bat in the 9th, he seemed to be there. I mean, it was a lot of things that you say this team has a lot of swagger to it that it hasn't had.
Yeah, Trevino too.
Trevino was doing the same thing,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
And I think that's super helpful. The other thing is, I really feel by them having the just atrocious back half of the summer that they did.
Oh, August was
the Yankees are
Elm Street.
In prime position to be on the upswing. I feel like the Yankees can lose a game 7-1 in the playoffs and go, we've seen worse. Whereas, Houston, I think, can conceivably fold. Correa not being there hasn't really mattered all year, but that's one more veteran who knows how to have his back up against the wall.
True.
We don't necessarily know if Jeremy Pena knows how to do that, if some of these young pitchers know how to do that. And so I feel like the adversity factor is definitely going to play to the Yankees' advantage as well.
True. I mean, Verlander being there and Pedro Alvarez and Altuve, guys that have been there, done that. I mean, but Correa, I think the Correa not being there is very, especially postseason time. I mean, regular season is one thing. Yeah, like Kyle Tucker's great and Bregman's great, but not having Correa in key at bats, he killed the Yankees in the last time they met up in ALCS, and him not being there is a big deal.
And we mentioned this last episode, but these are two top-notch teams. It's not it's not like you're looking at the top to pick a winner. You're looking at the bottom, and I feel like the Yankees have done a really, really good job. The mileage they've gotten out of the Harrison Baders of the world, out of the Oswaldo Cabreras of the world, who very well might be starting some games in left field in the playoffs, which is wild to think about. But you look at the Yankee 25-man roster. And you go, okay, sorry, there's Aaron Hicks, but then you look at the other 24 guys, and you go, where's the weakness? Who am I?
Sad music for Aaron Hicks, please. Sad music for Aaron Hicks in his season. Oh my God.
He's hopefully doing nothing. There it is. Oh. Could have been somebody.
Could have been someone.
But with Harrison Bader there, you're really just looking at Hicks. Maybe pinch running for Stanton every now and then. You're not looking for much out of him. Whereas you look at some of the other teams, like the Dodgers are going to try to get value out of Joey Gallo in these playoffs. Let that sink in for a minute, and tell me you wouldn't feel more confident looking at the Yankees bottom, versus the Dodgers. The Dodgers and Braves too have some serious injury questions where they're going to be taking some potential question marks into the playoffs who may throw a few pitches and go, well, that was a waste of a roster spot for this round. And so I think the Yankees, floor is more impressive and more important than their ceiling.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Some bombs from Mongo, dropping friggin' nukes today as always. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Playoffs are going to be spicy. I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm going to watch all the wild card games too.
Oh, absolutely.
The
right team. I feel like the right teams got in.
Agreed.
I feel like at the end of the day,
100%. I love this new format with the extra wild card. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love not playing in the wild card game.
Don't get me wrong. If we were playing the Twins for 3 games, I might feel differently.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we'd win, but it would still be a waste.
This is why you win your division. So you're not playing in Boston.
Absolutely.
In terrible conditions against the Green Monster. All right, so let's shift gears real quick.
Absolutely.
To NFL talk.
Okay.
NFL talk.
Ready.
We got Jets talk on deck. We got how about them Cowboys on deck.
How about them Cowboys?
Oh yeah.
Literally on deck. You had that ready to go.
On deck. But we're gonna start with the Jets. We're gonna start with your Jets, with your JETS, Jets, all that good stuff. Some dramatic wins. Oh my God! To say the least, I've texted you after the Browns game. Joe Flacco to the rescue. I texted you after the Steeler game. You guys have wins in Cleveland and in Pittsburgh. Can't say Heinz Field, whatever it's called now. Field.
Sorry, please don't sue us.
Don't sue us. Robert Saleh
can coach.
He can coach. He can coach. What are your thoughts with those shocking wins, with this start? Zach Wilson's back now. How are you feeling about your JETS, Jets?
Great. GREAT, great. If you want to follow the pattern there. I love what they're doing. And the most important thing, and I think it's mostly Saleh, although it is definitely a super increase in talent, and on the wide receivers and the running back front. But you had texted me about the Steeler game, and I had to miss the end of that game. I had to turn it off with about 14, 13 minutes left. But when I had to turn it off, I didn't think for a minute there was no chance they could win. I really thought, this will be a shootout. We'll see what happens. They'll get within a couple points either way. Whereas we've had years in the past 5 years where, the Dolphins get up 3-0 and I can go rake leaves. There's no point in going through the motions. It's just a matter of does it end in the 20s or the 30s, really. And so it's nice to have a team that's feisty. It's nice to have a team that you can believe in. Now, the truth is, 2-2, you look ahead at the schedule. We have a surefire loss at Green Bay coming up. At Denver is always a trap game for them. They have to play the Bills, a couple times. They're not sweeping Belichick. Belichick won't let that happen. Even the Dolphins on a backup quarterback this week could easily be an L. The next time I see you, I'd be thrilled if they're 4-5. So, let's stay in the realm.
Let's pump the brakes. Let's hold off the anointing oil in Parcells'.
Right, exactly. Let's stay in the realm of reality. But with that being said, They have 2 tight ends who look like they're going to be ballers.
I got Conklin in one of my fantasy leagues. Thank you very much.
Conklin can play. Uzoma is a steady backup. They finally have this idea with Moore, Wilson, and Davis, 3 guys who can play at 3 different levels. We talked about that in the summer too, and they're executing it perfectly. Breece Hall is everything we thought he'd be. They're making the most of a really, really patched together offensive line, which impresses me. A couple of those guys must just go to the locker room and just throw up afterwards, being like, "How did we survive that?" But they do, and I think the best part is when you take a look at this defense. Jermaine Johnson's contributing, Sauce Gardner's contributing, the rookies are getting it done, but. This doesn't have to be a lost year. This can be a genuine growing year where when you win games, you can feel good about it because of their, they have 7 starters who are signed through this year. And, the other 4 guys, Quan Alexander, no reason he shouldn't want to come back and play with Salah. Sheldon Rankins has kind of made a home here. And even if he doesn't, Jermaine Johnson can move in on the starting line.
Oh, yeah.
So the other 2 guys are a safety and an outside linebacker. Those are not positions where, it's not like they need a quarterback, they need a left tackle, where if they win, we've had years where, they won a 3rd game, we're not going to get what we need. This is now a completely lost year. This is a great year for them to have to be drafting 12th, 14th, 17th.
Sure.
So get those wins where you can, play your best in every game. And so I'm absolutely loving this because a win is awesome, a hard-fought loss just as awesome. And, other than that Baltimore game, where once Wilson goes down, it kind of is what it is. I'm really happy with what I've seen. Zach Wilson needs to stay healthy. I'm not telling the world anything they don't know. We need to figure out. At this point, you got to just assume Mekhi Becton is gone. So what are you going to do at left tackle? George Fant needs to come back healthy, obviously. But you got to be thrilled if you're a Jet fan, regardless of where the next 4 or 5 games fall.
For sure. Give me some bombs for the Jets.
Great time to be a Jet fan, and that's the first time. I don't know when did Chad Pennington first get injured?
God.
Not even
Looks
retire.
like
When did Chad Pennington first get injured?
Early 2000s, I'm thinking. Bro.
Yeah, that's about when the last time when they said, Vinny Testaverde, you're just going to come and go every November for the next half a decade. That's when we kind of checked out and. Just watch Tom Brady dominate for 20 years, and now we're back. Now the Jets are back to 7 wins is reasonable.
Wayne Corbett was still running around.
Yeah, that's correct. That was the last time I felt this good.
Bernius Coles. Keep dropping some days.
Might have been before that.
Oh, before that.
Mo Lewis definitely.
Oh yeah,
definitely,
Curtis Martin.
That era. Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh man. So before we get into some Cowboy talk, of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Merch is here. I'm gonna cue this up. Can I get a how about them Cowboys real quick? It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. So it's getting hot in here. You know what I mean? And it's about that time that on the U-Goboy podcast, you guys meet a very important person in my life, in Mongo's life too, Dallas Go-Boy. So I'm gonna take the shades off.
Uh-oh. Costume change. Always a good time when there's props.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Who is this man? What happened to you?
Mongo, hand me my belt. Mongo, hand me my belt.
Your belt, good sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Where's my camera? I need my camera.
Clark Kent has left the building.
So, one more. How about them Cowboys, please, Marv? One more, please.
How about them Cowboys?
So, my name's Dallas Go-Boy. For you haters out there, you Cowboy haters, I've been waiting to show up on this podcast for quite some time. When you see the Cowboys on a hot streak, when you see Micah Parsons, the lion is always hungry. When you see Ezekiel Elliott, when you see CeeDee Lamb or DeMarcus Lawrence, when you see him running roughshod over the head, you're gonna see this face. All right, you're gonna see these glasses. You're gonna see this hat. You're gonna see this belt. You're going to see these chains. You're going to see a jersey. You're going to see Dallas Go-Boy when you haters can't say nothing when the Cowboys win. You can't say nothing. So I'm going to show up on this podcast every single time the Cowboys are rolling. And right now they're 3-1. Cooper Rush he's rushing. He's an Uber driver part-time, but he also plays quarterback. All right? We're winning football games. Mike McCarthy, he dropped a couple pounds. He's coaching better. I mean, we got the belt. We're rolling. And the Rams, we got something for you. For sure. Marvin's on the board. He's loving all this. Mongo's next to me. So you Cowboy haters, keep in mind, when the Cowboys are hot, you're going to see this face. And in the words of the great Ric Flair, You might not like it. Take the glasses off dramatically. But you will learn to love it. How about them Cowboys? Yahtzee. There you go, Mongo. Now, so what did I miss? What did I miss, man? What did I miss? Oh man. But yeah, all that aside. Cowboys are rolling. Oh yeah, like the video, subscribe to the channel. So I'm loving everything. Cooper Uber driver rush. Like that's not an exaggeration. I did not expect much. I've seen this movie before with backups coming in for Romo in 2010. That was a 6-10 season. Romo gets hurt. 2015. That was a 4-12 season. And Dak goes down in 2020. That was a 6-10 season as well. How are they doing? Is this more so Cooper Rush, or is this more so Mike McCarthy understanding he needed to sit down Kellen Moore, rework this game plan, lean on the defense, which is playing out of its mind, and kind of just change roles? How did this 3-1 start? How did it happen, Mongo? Where do you see this happening?
I think Jerry Jones made a deal with the devil. Is the obvious short answer to that. No, so I mean, let's take a look at Cooper Rush first. Now, the answer obviously can't be exclusively him because he's had to play. He has had to come in before, and he did. He's 4-0 now, but I mean, he didn't look. His first game last year, he wasn't. Shocking the world. But what's more important here, I'm going to take it way, 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 way back. I'm going to go back to Quincy Carter. I'm going to take it super duper back.
All the way back.
I'm going all the way back.
The Dave Campbell years.
And Quincy Carter was followed immediately by Drew Henson, Chad Hutchinson. Jerry Jones has a type. He purposely went for just a run of. If you don't know, all of those guys are former very good college baseball players, right? Because Jerry Jones secretly thinks baseball players can stay out of trouble more than football players can. Let's just be real. And so he knows, much like how being in New Jersey, we know that certain guys can be Yankees.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones has an image of what a backup or what a Cowboy quarterback in general, but definitely a backup Cowboy quarterback should be. And so Cooper Rush has been handpicked to know what to do in this situation. So I don't think it's so much the skill so much as he knows, where is he going to be the punching bag? Where is he going to have to be the game manager? When is it okay for him to take those chances? Because Jerry Jones takes great pride in knowing exactly what type of human he wants to be in that position. So I do have to give a little bit of credit for Jerry Jones for sticking to his guns for literally 30 years, knowing that this moment could arise where he'd want the perfect human, regardless of the perfect player, ready to go. Now, as far as how the Cowboys are doing it, it's because they basically have an elite defensive player at each level of the defense.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely.
I mean, Lawrence Parsons and Diggs solve a lot of your problems.
Facts, big facts. That's a Yahtzee right there. Goodness, I heard one.
On the
Yahtzee.
On the offensive side, I will give McCarthy credit. Now, I have the dishonorable pleasure of having the Elliott Pollard team on a dynasty fantasy team.
Nice.
And I haven't started one yet this year because you can't. But in reality, that's awesome. McCarthy has figured out this is going to be a Pollard game, this is going to be an Elliott game. You're kind of getting vibes of it seems like Dillon and Jones, one of them disappears in a Packer game. Yeah. I mean, with all due respect, Zeke nowadays, both Packers are better than both Cowboys I named with Zeke getting older. So it's not a perfect comparison, but it's that same idea. They're doing it more on numbers than on skill on offense. Noah Brown has been a godsend. Yeah. I mean, he's been super helpful. Now that they've just, now that it's just, hey, CeeDee Lamb, just go that way. We'll just kind of jugs machine it in your direction.
And Kellen Moore's doing a great job of finally. It took him. This is what CeeDee's second or third year. Mm-hmm. It took him long enough to. All right. Let me scheme him open.
Right.
Let me get some easy throws for him.
And again, they're 3-1. You have to give credit somewhere, but it's hard to give too much credit. What was the other option? I mean, send Zeke out as a wide receiver. I mean, where no one was left. I mean, Gallup was hurt. Jalen Tolbert turned out to be just a complete disaster early on. Again, like we said, Brown has been nice, but he's not going to take over a game. It had to run through CeeDee Lamb on the offense, and there have been some drives where it has, and so I give credit to them doing the obvious on offense. I give credit to Cooper Rush for managing the games as well as he can, but ultimately it's the playmaking ability of that defense that's going to keep.
Oh, absolutely. The
The
defense has been the story. Micah Parsons, I got his jersey for a reason. He went to Penn State, for goodness sake. He's an animal, and he's in the Aaron Donald conversation already because he's getting triple teams. So it's not too far-fetched to say, oh, you can't say he's there's only a handful of players in this league that are in triple teams. Aaron Donald's one of them. Maybe Von Miller's the other. And that's about it. Not a lot of play. And J.J. Watt, or T.J. Watt, that's about it. That's about it. So when you are garnering that type of attention, that's why the other guys are eating so much. That's why DeMarcus Lawrence has had a renaissance. He's getting one-on-ones every game now. And Darnce Armstrong and Dante Fowler, like all these guys, all these Dan Quinn guys. And of course, Dan Quinn is the Professor X, and he's white and bald too. He's the Professor X of all of this. These are all his mutants. They're all going ham because this is the second year they've been with him. He has a type. This front office blended and merged and married. Okay, we're going to give you 2 defensive drafts. We're going to give you Micah, and we're going to give you Trey Diggs. And we're going to get you a whole bunch of role players that fit your scheme of what you're trying to do on a weekly basis. And it is a nightmare to try to pass on them on 3rd and 7. Good luck with that. So, and again, Micah has taken that next step. He really has. Like, the fact that teams have to scheme now, it kind of was getting to that point last year when he was kind of rounding into midseason form and toward the end of the year. But now he fully understands what and who he is, and Quinn is putting him everywhere. He's putting him on the edge. He's putting him inside. He's putting him off the ball. He was covering Terry McLaurin the other day, and Trey Diggs again. He's putting handcuffs on your favorite wide receiver every single week. Terry McLaurin's still on Rikers Island. You know what I mean? Justin Jefferson put the handcuffs on him. Jamar Chase, he put the handcuffs on him. When they play the Eagles, him and A.J. Brown, that's going to be fun.
Oh, absolutely.
That's going to be box office right there. So, like you mentioned, having elite players on each and every level is big. It's big, and it's allowing Dan Quinn to really, really, really execute this defense in his image, similar to really Legion of Boom-esque. I think you can say it now. You couldn't say it before. You can say it now, so... Hey, how about them Cowboys, please, Marv? Well, hey, one more for the road.
How about them Cowboys?
Oh yeah. Shout out to Jimmy Johnson, man. He's loving all this. They were asking Jimmy the other day, Colin Cowherd, especially with all this Cooper Rush, Dak quarterback controversy nonsense. They asked Jimmy Johnson, how would you handle Jerry, like when he would say, do his press conference? And Jimmy was just laughing. He's like, well, I never really paid attention to what Jerry had to say.
that sounds 100% correct, too. I feel like we could have answered that for him, to be honest.
Big facts. Shout out to the Hall of Famer, Jimmy Johnson. He just got into the Hall, long overdue. Belongs in the Ring of Honor, too. He belongs in the Ring of Honor, too.
Absolutely.
So, Jerry, get on that. So, but yeah, good times. Big game in L.A. Big game in LA. Let's preview that real quick before we get to the next segment. It'll be Rams, who that offensive line is, it looked rough against Buffalo. It looked rough, even rougher against the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. How do you look at that matchup right now? Even with Cooper Rush, Dak's not going to play. Just spoiler alert, Dak's not playing. So Cooper Rush part 5, I guess, because he's had 4 starts under his belt, 3 this year. How do you think these two teams match up in LA, in SoFi, which is really going to be a Cowboy home game because Oxnard is in California. So how do you preview that matchup real quick?
I am so out on the Rams right now. I got to be honest. I mean, the Cowboys have been playing well, but there's a ton of trouble in LA right now. I mean, Cooper Kupp is great, but again, you have Diggs there, and so that's going to be a fun matchup to watch. They'll get clever with Kupp, 2 steps and turns.
He's going to get his 20 targets a game.
It's going to be a bonkers stat line. It's going to be a bonkers stat line of like 14 catches for 32 yards and a score or some nonsense like that. But, I mean, Allen Robinson just looks completely disinterested. Now, why you would go to a team where you're going to be a clear 2, not a 1B, then be seemingly upset when you're a clear 2, not a 1B, I have no idea, but he did that, so bravo to him for cashing in a check. The couple losses they had on that offensive line, for the Rams was bigger than I think anybody thought. They were fully invested in, Joseph Noteboom, being the logical next man up. But having those veterans in front of him, I think, were helping guide him. I think, it's not that he particularly changed. He's not hurt, it seems, but having to mentally be there on his own, I think, is definitely changing things. And I think there's definitely a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover as well. You know,
and we talked about that. We talked about that when we previewed this season.
You know, I think
that's real.
I think if this game happened, you know, right around Thanksgiving, it might be a little bit different. But right now, you know, Dallas is riding magic. The Rams are just trying to wake themselves up. This one could be pretty ugly.
I mean, the Whitworth retirement, we knew would be big. I mean, he's got a gold jacket in his future or whatnot. But the drop off, like you said, the note boom, we knew it'd be precipitous. But even at 40 plus years old, it's been massive. I mean, they could have used Jason Peters much more than we could have. You know, even though Tyron went down and we were having our own issues with the offensive line, but they're gelling on our side. On their side, like Nick Bosa. Pardon me, Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa, he had a field day. I think he had about 7-10 pressures by himself, in that game. And Stafford. Listen, when you get pressure on Stafford, he looks very Detroit-esque, and you got to factor in that when you played the Rams in years past, it was Cooper Kupp, it was Robert Woods, 1-2, and then sprinkle in some Higbee. And OBJ comes into the mix. A lot of options, a lot of targets to go around. Of course, Cooper Kupp's still going to get his 50,000 targets or whatever, but a lot of options. Now you take away OBJ. He's still rehabbing. Who knows where he's going to play? He just visited the Giants. I think he's going to go to Buffalo, honestly. And Woods is over in Tennessee. You got Kupp, you got Higbee, and like you said, Allen Robinson, who is really just there for a check right now. Yeah. So I have a tough time believing the Rams are not going to score a touchdown 2 straight weeks with Sean McVay, and considering they're going to be at home.
Right, of course.
But it's a toss-up. The coming in, it's a lot closer than a lot of people thought, even without Dak.
Yeah.
With all the shifting going on, especially on their offensive line and so forth.
Somehow the Cowboys are the deeper offense, which is
nuts
borderline bonkers.
Without Amari Cooper.
But the Rams can't seem to figure out how they're handling their running backs yet. So that's a classic if you have two, you have none situation. Agreed. Because if they guess wrong, they basically just don't have a running game. If I was them, I would personally I would take the under. If you're watching, take the under. I would just run Henderson into the ground.
Henderson and Akers, they're going to have about 50 carries between the two of them.
I wouldn't even go Akers. I would just Henderson.
Just Henderson.
I would just and then Dallas, just let Dallas go with Zeke and just make it a 3 yards in a cloud of dust ball and let this thing end 12-7 in some capacity. But I think the Rams are getting way too cute with their running backs. Again, they just don't have one half of the field until Robinson figures it out. And you can only get by so much on Cooper Kupp, especially they're basically in Christian McCaffrey territory now. If Kupp gets injured, the season's over.
His usage is insane. Like you said, that's a perfect analogy. Bombs for that. Perfect analogy. That his usage. I have him in one of my fantasy teams, but I'm nervous because. Listen, 20 targets. I think he had 19 targets in that Monday Night Football game. 19 to 20 targets a week. Listen, this isn't 1985 football, all right? That type of usage with the extra game, with the physicality of the NFL today in 2022, that is not a recipe for long-term health, let alone success. So, it should be a fun matchup. I mean, I'm not all in that, it's a slam dunk for the Cowboys because funny stuff always happens to us. Like that Stephen A. Smith, what can go wrong will go wrong, like meme, it does haunt me. Like until they put it all together, like they still have to prove to me that they can, ride it out and take it on home. I did want to throw out this stat before we switch gears here, football-wise, just to give you guys an understanding of how crazy this Cowboy defense is historically. By the way, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Dallas defense through 4 games has allowed 4 touchdowns, as we both know. 4 touchdowns. That's 1 touchdown a game. The 2000 Ravens, one of the greatest defenses of all time. I put them and the 85 Bears above everybody. That's just me personally. The Baltimore defense in 2000, in 4 games, they gave up 6 touchdowns.
Wow.
So Dan Quinn, we call it, he's him right now. Dan Quinn is in his Santa Claus duffel bag right now with the way he's running this defense. And they're only going to get better. Curse comes back this week, and Micah just keeps getting better. Trey just keeps getting better. So I'm really interested to see how this defense looks when they're in mid-season form.
And Cowboy haters, which I'm sure there are plenty of you out there right now getting ready to comment on this thing. Again, I'm an AFC guy, so
he's a Jets fan. He's impartial. He's impartial.
But I need to just make it clear how bonkers that stat is, because you could be sitting there going, well, look at who they played, look at this, look at that. We're in the pass-happy NFL where basically you can always put like Matt Ryan on your fantasy team, knowing that he'll be down 30-0 and he'll just junk touchdown you to a victory any week. The fact that they haven't even given up junk touchdowns, really, to be at that number means not only is this a good defense, it's a determined defense. Dallas has a tendency to get in its own way more often than a lot of franchises.
Yes.
And so for them to be keeping that number so low, because at the end of the day, that's a statistic that always gets a little skewed because you have freak accident. Your offense turns it over at your own 15, and you basically just have to give up one. Junk yards, like I said, at the end of the game. So for that number to be that low is shockingly impressive.
That's a Yahtzee. That's a Yahtzee if I've ever heard
Absolutely.
one. Shout out
well
to,
done, Dallas.
Shout out to Dan Quinn.
Yahtzee.
Shout out to Dan Quinn. I don't know if he's going to be around next year. He almost left for the Denver job last year. So, he just got a raise.
The Denver job.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get to that.
Oh, thank goodness.
Perfect segue. We're going to get into it. I mean, we're 4 weeks in. The AFC West, we were really clamoring about and excited for the AFC Hunger Games. But Lord, Russ is cooking Lunchables right now. He ain't cooking a damn thing. It's definitely not. It's definitely Postmates. Why is it not working? Why is it not working? And that receiving core is so good. It's so young. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. You got weapons. Why is it working?
I'm speculating. I'll look at my camera real quick and say I am strictly speculating. But for Nathaniel Hackett to be this bad at everything he does publicly, he has to at least be bad enough privately that this team has already at least somewhat checked out on him. There is no way this is Denver at 100%. It's not possible. Now they really should have won that game where McManus was just kicking from the moon.
Lord.
So they're not as bad as the record shows. Russ is getting better each week. They are kind of figuring out, that rookie Dulcich is, the tight end is supposed to be coming back. They had a couple injuries to a couple wide receivers early on. They're kind of adjusting that. So, I mean, there's some work to be done. But generally speaking, I really feel that if they were just being controlled by a Madden user, they'd at least be one win higher. You can chalk 99% of this up to Nathaniel Hackett. It's real bad.
Mongo is on one. Give me some bombs for Mongo. He said a Madden.
It's rough.
I love you, buddy.
It's real rock bottom.
Never change, baby.
You got it.
So that's Denver. That's their deal. I got Devontae Adams in one of my fantasy leagues. What the hell's going on? Yeah, that's. But I bumped if I've ever heard one. It's not working in Vegas, and I'm okay. Here's a number of reasons why I'm annoyed by that. Okay. Devontae, you really wanted to go there. That's your buddy, Carr. You guys played in college.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure you guys work out, too, in the offseason. You can't tell me in the 6-7 years you've been in the league, you haven't gone down to Cali or wherever and thrown some balls around with your buddy. That connection looks hapless.
Yeah.
It really does. And I don't understand why Josh McDaniels, another offensive mind, quote unquote, very Hackett-esque, is and we should honestly, you know what? But we shouldn't be that surprised because McDaniels, he coached in Denver and it didn't work out, and you had a young Brandon Marshall in that situation. You had Kyle Orton at quarterback, but you still had Brandon Marshall. So my question is, why isn't it working in Vegas with all their weapons, Waller and Hunter Renfrow, who is hurt right now? But again, Waller and Devontae and Jacobs, you got the weapons, man. Why isn't it working in Vegas?
So I do think, first of all, again, we're going to coaching here as the primary problem, and
theme on this
when Josh McDaniels is not being let out of New England to ruin a franchise, he regresses back to New England, where when was the last time they knew how to use receivers there? We've always known that to be Josh McDaniels' Achilles.
That's true.
So that part doesn't surprise me. But then I don't know if it was just bulletin board fodder gone wrong, or if Josh McDaniels really is racing, Nathaniel Hackett for the basement. But the talk at the beginning of the year about, Zamir White is going to split carries with Josh Jacobs, and we have Waller and Foster Moreau, we have two of the 10 best tight ends in the league, and this, that, and the other. What was the point of that? Because now you just have a shaken Josh Jacobs just running directly into the center's butt for the first 2 weeks.
He's running into this.
Right.
Every first down, 1st and 10. All right, Josh, boom. Hit the ball. Hit the hole.
And finally last week, it looked like it was more built to mimic what the Packers have been. With you have Aaron Jones, you have Adams, and you have all others just along for the adventure. Adams was Adams, and granted, part of that was helped by just Renfrow being injured.
Exactly.
Josh Jacobs was clearly the man last week, and I think less is more in this case.
Agreed.
I think, and I hate to say this for fantasy owners because I own Darren Waller. I make Darren Waller more of a Robert Tonyan type, or any tight end that Rodgers has had in the years past. Put him in. He's your end zone guy. He's your third and 7 chain mover. But otherwise, this is Devontae Adams' show. Send Renfrow deep a few times. I know that's not his caliber, but it's not really Alan Lazard's thing either. It's not
No.
pick your favorite guy who's been Devontae Adams' running mate through the years.
Yeah.
They have to change for him. He doesn't change for you.
Agreed.
He never has.
Agreed. You don't like tell him, okay, Devontae. No. He's an all-pro.
Right.
He's an all-pro, and his contract suggests that. Like, you fit your scheme to work for him the best you possibly can with the amount of money and capital and draft capital you gave up to get him. But it's got to be better than this. It's not supposed to be like this.
No,
it's not.
No, not at all. Now again, they do seem to be showing improvement each week. They do eventually not have to keep going back. The Western schedule has been wild early on. They've had to go in the division a couple times. They'll eventually get some easier games. Naturally, Eastern teams have to start making their way eventually, which always, as the year goes on, become easier and easier wins. So I do collectively for the West like where their win trajectory should go. But yeah, this is really looking like it's coming down to, Andy Reid and 3 interns are coaching the NFC or the AFC West, Lord. And that's going to matter at the end of this. I don't think 100%. we accounted for that as much as we should have.
We didn't factor that in. I've been waiting for that drop. That's a great segue, as always. Again, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Can I get another savage? Because that was pretty savage.
Sorry, I'm really. if you didn't watch the first episode out there, I literally my answer to what are you most excited for, which could be anything. I'm a Jet fan. I could have gone with my homer. I could have gone for star players. My answer was the AFC West.
It was yours, and it was mine too. For sure.
That should be the most fun we are having this year, but and it has been just a disaster.
No, It's been rough, needless to say. It's definitely been a spin-off, and not the good type.
No.
But you mentioned, you said Andy Reid in 3.
Sorry.
It hurts. Can I get another savage for that?
Savage.
Speaking of the AFC, because we're gonna do the NFC right after it, but the AFC right now it's looking like Buffalo for sure, as we thought. It's looking like Baltimore, even though they choked away another lead. Shocker there. And it's looking like KC. It's looking like Buffalo, KC, and Baltimore, and everybody else. At least in my opinion, at least through the first 4 weeks. Miami's in that conversation too, but with Tua being out, the whole concussion situation, I would say those are the 3 teams I trust the most right now.
Agreed.
How do you do 4 games? Which one of those 3 has impressed you the most wire to wire?
So I'll tell you right now, wins regardless. I'm most impressed by Kansas City, and that is first of all, I'm assuming that their owner just sends out an email internally every day at 4 a.m. going, just a friendly reminder, we still have Patrick Mahomes. They don't. Today's going to be a good day. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is beyond untouchable at this point. I love what they're getting out of George Karlaftis. For years we saw the Steelers and Ravens stay good by doing what the Chiefs finally did this year. They would just sit at the 20th pick or so in the draft, wait to see who falls, and say that by default has to be our guy. We're playing for value. And so Karlaftis just gives them a super strong front 4
to go with Jones,
right,
and Clark
and Nadi, and they can play super aggressive because and Baltimore's the same way. They can play super aggressive on defense because if they give up a quick touchdown, oh no, Patrick Mahomes has to get an extra drive in. Like,
it could be worse things.
Right, we're okay. Lamar Jackson has to score faster. Oh no, so those 2 teams both have the advantage over Buffalo in that sense. But Kansas City has really impressed me. Now I do need to say for the Ravens, I don't know why no one's controlling this narrative, or maybe they are, in more smaller areas in Baltimore. You got to remember that they lost Martindale, as their coordinator, and then they let Derek Wolfe go. Then Jalen Ferguson passes away. So then they bring back in Derek Wolfe. Derek Wolfe retires. Justin Houston, who sat on his potential buy-in into his contract for 3 months, comes in. They basically just had an absolute revolving door of pass rushers, for a couple months there. That's going to take some time to gel.
Right.
So I think of these three teams, the Ravens are the ones that have the most area of growth, which is why the way you asked the question, who am I most impressed by? They're a distant third to me so far, even though Lamar Jackson might be the guy who's impressing me the most.
True.
But in terms of if I was making a power ranking, and even more so if I was making a power ranking prediction of where I'll have these guys come Thanksgiving or Christmas, the Ravens are much higher. I think this D, particularly the defensive box, just needs some time to figure out who's still here.
Agreed. And all three of those quarterbacks are playing at an unbelievably high level right now.
Absolutely.
I think the MVP is going to come out of those three. In my opinion, Lamar's playing amazing. He's playing for a baseball contract.
Absolutely.
And Josh Allen's been as advertised. And Mahomes is Mahomes.
Absolutely.
Like, come on. Excuse me. We're about to wrap soon. Let's get this last one in.
Sure thing.
NFC, Hunger Games as I call it. Eagles look good. Eagles look great. They really do. They played a bunch of bad teams, but they look good. Jalen Hurts has really impressed me. Really impressed me. I knew he was gonna get better because he was average. If that last year, they're really reliant on the run. But Nick Sirianni has those boys playing. He's got that defense rolling. They're undefeated for a reason. It's the Eagles. My hierarchy is it's Eagles. It's of course Bucks, Green Bay. I still think Dallas, especially when Dak gets back. And I'm not out on the Rams yet because they've won it all. And McVay is a really good coach. A little bit of a jack off, but he's a good coach.
That's fair.
NFC still wide open.
Absolutely.
Wide open. Is it as open as you thought?
So it's a little less open. I have the Eagles ahead of everybody right now, and it comes down to it's the cliche here, one man's junk. Finding James Bradbury off the Giants heap has been huge for them. Cashing in on C.J. Gardner-Johnson needing to be released for money reasons by New Orleans. They've been able to really make that defense super duper deep. And probably give themselves more of a competitive advantage than we thought. But that would imply that you're giving up on Aaron Rodgers, you're giving up on Tom Brady. You can't do that.
Cannot.
So I still think it's as open. But at this point, if you were just watching this as a race, the Eagles are in front.
They are, as of now, for sure. Absolutely. Can I get a Savage, por favor? A Yahtzee?
Savage.
Oh man.
A little of everything.
A little bit of everything. Hunger Games, NFC. That's why I call it the NFC playoffs. I can't wait for it. We're going to wrap here. We're going to bring it home. We don't need to do a rapid fire because we don't do them anymore with Mongo here.
You better know me by now.
You better know that face by now. Shout out to Dallas Go-Boy for showing up. Shout out to Marv on the boards.
Yeah.
Bravery Studios is always the home base. Some quick plugs before we get out of here. As always, U-Goboy88 on all platforms. That's TikTok, IG, Facebook as well. U-Goboy.com. We're getting ready to revamp that too. Jonah the Great doing crazy numbers on YouTube as always. Juice versus Sauce, 5-star dancer. Bruce Wayne Money is closing in on 100,000 views. It's at 70,000 views, I believe, right now.
Yeah, get that
5-star dancer just hit 100,000 views. So that's the
Very
third.
nice.
You keeping count at home, boys and girls? That is the third time I've hit 100,000 views on YouTube. Wow. Golly, can I get a Yahtzee, please? That's a Yahtzee.
Big
Goodness,
Yahtzee.
That's a big Yahtzee. But yeah, music available on all streaming platforms. Shout out to A1 Vision, of course, the man behind the lens, and I Might Snap, my personal photographer. We got Tippin'. That is on the way. I just shot that a couple weeks ago in Jersey. That's another movie with A1 Vision. Cannot wait to drop that for you guys. So more videos, more music, more episodes on the way. Mongo will be back. He will be back in a few weeks. We're going to do some more sports talk. We're going to try to hit every 4 weeks of the NFL season, every quarter. We're going to come in here, dive in, talk about what's going on, the big-time storylines right here on the U-Goboy podcast where you get everything. Of course, grab the merch. Grab the merch as always. Grab the link in the description below. Shout out to the Bass Podcast, my Bass brothers. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, that's the belt. That's the other belt. That's Mongo. I'm U-Goboy. Thank you for watching. Yahtzee. Whoa. Hey, this a vibe, nigga. Whoa. Woo. Secure the bag. I need vibe, this a whole vibe. I don't need a plug, no cosign. Thinking out loud, that's a gold mine. Mask on, yeah, COVID-19. Baby mama, yeah, looking like Rihanna. Rest in peace to George, rest in peace Brianna. Still kicking like Van Damme with my niggas in Amsterdam.
You go, boy.
Yahtzee.